Something happened on that golf course that nobody saw coming. If you clicked on this video because you saw that headline, good, because what went down at TPC Deere Run this weekend is exactly the kind of chaos that separates a normal PGA Tour stop from a tournament people are going to be talking about for years. A 4-shot lead vanished into thin air. Lightning stopped play mid-round with a player standing over his ball. A 50-year-old legend who was supposed to be resting for a different tournament decided to show up and start draining putts like he's 25 again. And by the time Sunday's final round got underway, the leaderboard was so packed, so violently tight, that literally 18 players were within 5 shots of the lead. 18. That almost never happens on tour. So stick with me for the next 50 minutes, because I am going to walk you through exactly how this tournament spiraled into complete madness, who's actually in position to win it, and why what happens today at TPC Deere Run could end up being one of the wildest finishes of the entire PGA Tour season. But before I get into it, I need to ask you one small favor. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because I cover moments like this the second they happen, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming in the next few minutes of this story, because it only gets crazier from here. Alright, family, let's get into it. So let's rewind to the start of the week, because to understand how insane this weekend got, you have to understand where this thing began. TPC Deere Run, Silvis, Illinois. This course isn't some sleepy little stop on the tour calendar. Sure, it doesn't have the name recognition of Augusta or Pebble Beach, but ask any PGA Tour pro and they'll tell you this event has a reputation. It's a birdie fest. Low scores. A course that punishes anybody who plays it safe and rewards anybody willing to attack the pins. Last year Brian Campbell walked away with the trophy, and this year, the field showed up hungry, because there's $8.8 million on the line, 500 FedEx Cup points, and for a lot of these guys, a chance to save their entire season in 1 week. Round 1. Thursday. And right out of the gate, 2 guys separate from the pack in a way that immediately signals this week is going to be a shootout. Lucas Glover and Zach Blair both fire matching rounds of 63. 8 under par. On the exact same day. That's the kind of coincidence that makes you sit up and pay attention, because when 2 players go that low on the same afternoon, you know the golf course is playing soft, and the leaderboard is about to get dangerous. Right behind them, sitting 1 shot back, is a name that Illinois golf fans have been waiting all week to see catch fire. Zach Johnson. 50 years old. 2-time major champion. Home state hero. Born and raised in Iowa, just a short drive from this golf course, and every single year he tees it up at the Deere Classic, the crowds treat him like he's still in his prime. And on day 1, he gave them a reason to believe, capping off a brilliant round with an eagle birdie finish that had the entire gallery on its feet. Now here's where it starts getting spicy. Round 2. Friday. This is the day where the tournament claims its first real casualties, and one name jumps off the page immediately. Jackson Coyvan. If you don't follow amateur golf closely, you need to know who this kid is, because he was the reigning NCAA champion, considered one of the most electric young talents in the entire sport, and this week was supposed to be his professional debut. His first paycheck as a pro. His grand entrance onto the PGA Tour stage. And instead, in front of everybody watching, he shoots 73 and 70, finishes at 1 over par, and misses the cut in his very first professional start. Just like that, one of the most hyped debuts of the year turns into a gut punch. Meanwhile, standing right next to him in that marquee pairing, Jordan Spieth is fighting for his tournament life after a brutal start to round 2, and somehow claws his way back just enough to survive and make the cut on the number. One superstar barely hangs on. One future superstar gets sent home in his very first week as a professional. That's the kind of contrast that tells you this golf course does not care about reputations. While all that drama is unfolding on the bubble, up at the top of the leaderboard, Jackson Suber quietly puts together one of the cleanest rounds anybody plays all week. Bogey-free, 7 under 64, and he climbs straight into contention. This is a guy still chasing his first ever PGA Tour win, and if you've been paying attention to his season, he's finished top 4 in 2 of his last 5 starts. He is knocking on the door, and this week he's making it very clear he's not going anywhere. By the time the cut line settles, it lands at 3 under par, and that number alone tells you everything about how this golf course is playing. Low. Fast. Merciless if you fall behind the pace, even slightly. Now here comes Saturday. Moving day. And if round 2 was about survival, round 3 is where this tournament goes completely off the rails. It's the 4th of July. Independence Day here in the United States. The John Deere Classic leans all the way into it, red, white, and blue everywhere. A flag presentation planned for the evening, Carrie Underwood scheduled to perform a concert on the course after play wraps up. It's supposed to be a celebration. A patriotic, feel-good Saturday at the ballpark of golf tournaments. And for a while, that's exactly what it is. Lucas Glover comes out of the gate on fire. He chips in for eagle early in his round, and by the time he's midway through his back 9, he has built himself a 4-shot lead. 4 shots. On moving day. That is the kind of cushion that usually means a player is about to cruise into Sunday with total control of the tournament. Announcers start talking about him as the heavy favorite. The kind of lead that lets a guy play conservative the rest of the way and just protect it. And then it starts to slip. Glover doesn't collapse in some dramatic meltdown, throw it in the water kind of way. It's worse than that, honestly, because it's quiet. It's just gone. Bogey here. A missed birdie chance there. Pars piling up while the rest of the field keeps making birdies behind him. And while Glover is treading water, Lee Hodges is doing the exact opposite. Hodges plays even par on his front 9, nothing special, and then something clicks. He rips off 4 birdies in a 6-hole stretch on the back 9. Birdies at 2, at 5, he's picking this course apart late in the round when it matters most, and by the time he signs his scorecard, he has posted a 67, and Glover's 4-shot cushion has completely evaporated. They are tied. 16 under. Going into Sunday's final round, dead even. But that's not even the part where things get chaotic. Because right as the leaderboard is compressing into an absolute logjam, the sky opens up. Heavy rain rolls into Silvis. Then lightning starts flashing in the distance. And at 5:27 in the afternoon, Eastern Time, officials make the call. The horn sounds. Play is suspended. The final group, Glover, Zach Blair and Lee Hodges, is standing on the course with 2 holes left to play in their 3rd round, and now they have to just wait. Stand around in a lightning delay with the tournament hanging in the balance, not knowing when they'll get to walk off with their round finished. TV coverage scrambles, gets shifted entirely over to Golf Channel to cover the resumption. Fans in the grandstands are getting pulled to shelter. And for a solid hour, this tournament is completely frozen, whether deciding the fate of a golf tournament that, up until 20 minutes earlier, had been building toward one of the most exciting finishes of the year. Now think about the stakes here for a second. If that storm had gotten worse. If lightning had stuck around another hour, another 2 hours. This entire tournament could have been pushed into Monday. The final round could have been shortened. Players could have been forced to finish 36 holes in a single day on Sunday just to get this thing in the books before another round of bad weather potentially rolled through the region. That is not some wild theory, by the way. That's genuinely how these situations play out on the PGA Tour when storms threaten a weekend. One bad radar image and suddenly officials are talking about suspending an entire final round. That is the kind of chaos that was hanging over this tournament all Saturday evening, and it's exactly why that headline hit different this week. Because for a stretch there, nobody knew if Sunday's final round was even going to happen the normal way. Thankfully, officials get play going again around 6:40. The skies clear up just enough, and the final group finishes their round late Saturday evening. Blair actually leads the way when the delay hits, sitting 1 shot clear of the field, but it's a tight leaderboard, and by the time round 3 officially wraps, here's what you're looking at. Hodges and Glover tied at the top, 16 under. Right behind them, a trio at 15 under, Zach Blair, Jackson Suber, and Ben Coles, a guy who's already won on the Korn Ferry Tour this year and is hungry to prove he belongs on the biggest stage. And then, lurking just 3 shots back, there's Zach Johnson. I need you to understand what Zach Johnson is doing this week, because it's honestly one of the best stories in golf right now, and it's flying under the radar for a lot of casual fans. This man is 50 years old. He has already won twice on the PGA Tour Champions Circuit this season, the Senior Tour, the one specifically built for guys past their 50s. And instead of resting up or preparing for the US Senior Open, which was happening this exact same week, he chose to skip it entirely to play in his hometown event. Why? Because if he wins the John Deere Classic this week, he joins an incredibly exclusive club of players who have won on both the PGA Tour Champions and the regular PGA Tour in the same calendar year. The last man to do that was Phil Mickelson, back in 2021. Think about that for a second. A 50-year-old, playing against guys half his age, chasing a feat that Phil Mickelson himself is the most recent name to accomplish. And on Saturday, in front of the biggest, loudest, most patriotic hometown gallery of the entire week, he drains a 35-foot birdie putt on the 18th hole to cap off a round of 66. The crowd erupts. This is Iowa's guy, in Illinois, doing it on the 4th of July, and suddenly he's not just a sentimental story anymore, he is genuinely, mathematically in the mix to win this thing outright, and he's not the only underdog making noise. Preston Stout, an amateur playing on a sponsor exemption, the reigning NCAA individual champion out of Oklahoma State, shoots 66 on Saturday and finds himself just 4 shots back heading into Sunday. An amateur. In real contention. At a PGA Tour event. That almost never happens, and it adds this incredible extra layer of tension to an already stacked leaderboard, because if Stout somehow pulls this off, we are talking about one of the most historic amateur performances in recent tour memory. Then there's Rickie Fowler. If you've followed his career the last couple years, you know it's been a rough stretch. Struggling with form, fighting to stay relevant on tour, a shell of the player who used to contend at majors on a weekly basis. He barely survived the cut, getting up and down for par on his final hole just to make it to the weekend on the number. Most guys in that position just try to play out the string and collect a small paycheck. Instead, Fowler goes out Saturday, starting the day 11 shots off the lead, and fires a 63. He bogeys his very last hole and still shoots 63. That's the kind of round that doesn't just move you up a leaderboard, it sends a message to everybody else in the field that he is not done, and it puts him within 5 shots of the lead heading into the final round. Nobody, and I mean nobody, expected Rickie Fowler to be a factor in this tournament by Sunday afternoon, and yet here we are. So let's actually lay out where this leaderboard stands as the final round gets underway, because this is genuinely one of the most crowded, dangerous leaderboards you will see on tour all year. Lucas Glover and Lee Hodges, tied at the top, 18 under after that Saturday finish.